Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy Saturday. If you are here, get those likes up, y'all. Y'all know the drill. Get those likes up. Tag anybody on this discussion. Share it with someone that you think may find it interesting. Also, to show support to the show, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo Shay Sade. And as always, I will be sure to read and acknowledge all super chats that come through. So, just to get right into today's topic, she looks like she don't want or need a man. So, how did we get here? How did we get here? So, this whole conversation was actually spurred from a post that I shared yesterday. Some of you guys may have seen it, may not have seen it. But basically, I just was talking about a few things that I noticed going through different graduations. Many of you guys know this is graduation season, high school, college, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been to two in particular this week, and there were a few things that I noticed as it relates to the dating and mating market, and I shared my thoughts. So I'm going to bring it up just so you guys can see it if you haven't had a chance to see it. This is going to help give you context as to why we're going over this, and then we will go from there. So let me pull it up real quick. Oops, where it's going? Where's it going? Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna pull this up really quick, and then you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Okay. So right here, I posted this yesterday, yesterday afternoon after having finished my second graduation for the week. Um, so I said, I attended two prestigious graduations for this young man this week. Again, two of his graduations. Um, Says having graduated from the number one U.S. public university with a master's degree, he is taking the strides necessary to get set up for a bright, fruitful career. But something I noticed while at these graduations was the lack of female representation, specifically black female representation. What I did notice, however, was the overwhelming amount of Asian and white women who were in his class studying with him and celebrating with him once it was all said and done. In total, I noticed two black women out of hundreds of students, both of them who did not appear like they were looking for relationships. Cough, cough, fill in the blank. What's a man like him to do if he is looking for love but is surrounded by women of other races? Should he really be shamed if he decided to date and marry out because that was what he was in proximity to? Let me know. So this is the whole post that spurred on the conversation. Why? Because, you know, what really got people upset was this little section right here. This little section right here, where I said, out of the hundreds of women that I saw there, or out of the women I saw there, I only noticed about two black women, and they didn't appear like they wanted to be in relationships. Now I got all kinds of misogynistic, pushing misogyny standards on women, yada 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 yada. And I just had a lot of people who just were not. They just did not like. They didn't like this part. They did not appreciate this. That I would have the nerve to say that there are women out there who appeared as if they did not want to be in relationships. That came off as really offensive for some. So I wanted to unpack this a little bit because whether or not it comes off as offensive or whether or not it seems misogynistic, there is a lot of truth to that statement, and I want to explain why. So again, guys, if you're here, get those likes up. Also show support to the show on Cash App or Venmo. Shay Sade. Also show some love on the super chats. So, but like I said, there is, whether or not you want to believe it, there is truth to the fact that the way that we appear, the way that we present ourselves, actually can give off an indication of whether or not we were looking to be in a relationship or not. And as I mentioned before, now granted, this is just one college. This is a top college, right? It's a really hard college to get into. So you do want to take into consideration proximity, what schools you go to, where you're at. Like obviously at HBCU, there's going to be a ton more black women. So this wouldn't be an issue necessarily at HBCU. But at a college that he would like, at a college like where he was at, where it's overwhelmingly Asian and overwhelmingly white after that, and you see a handful of blacks, period, handful of black men, a handful of black women. It's like these are the kinds of scenarios where if you see a man or even a woman dating or marrying out, it's like, can you really shame them? So that was the whole premise of my argument. Really, it was the whole premise was just like somebody like him who's surrounded by a sea of people who are not like him. He's in classes with other women of other ethnicities. They're studying together. They're having to do projects together, or vice versa. If somebody like that ends up marrying or dating somebody else outside of their ethnicity, it's like, well, duh, that's what they're in proximity to. So again, that was the whole premise of the post. But like I said, this little section made women upset. So what I'm going to do now I'm going to shift to this is something that I shared earlier, looking for love. I just showed that a few minutes ago. So, and this is in response to the women who did not appear as if they wanted to be in relationships. So here we see some dudes here. Let's just look. Let's just quickly look through the appearance. Let's look through. Let's just look through. These are the different guys that I want you guys to look at. And it says looking for love. How many of those men, if they just approached your average modern woman, your average typical Black woman, how many of those men would get love? How many of those men would get support? Maybe they would, get some interest. How many of them? Or would people look at them and be like, you look dusty, get away. You look dusty, get away. What's going on? Like, you need to go take a shower. Take a shower, brush your hair, get a haircut, lose some weight, go to the gym, go to the dentist, bruh. Change your outfit. Get that moccasin off your head or whatever. Like, how many women would just be like, please grow a tooth before you start talking to me. Cut your beard. Put on a real workable shirt first. Take off the tissue paper, like that shattered mess you have on. Put on a real shirt, brush your hair, and then talk to me. Like, how many women looking at this, they would have no problem bashing men who look like this? Or even if they didn't want to do that, they would just look at them and be like, yeah, these men do not look like they're actively wanting to be in relationships. They obviously have other stuff going on. Why? Because their presentation is not necessarily something that would be engaging to the opposite sex out the gate. It doesn't mean that they're dusty. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't have good jobs. It does not mean that they don't have value. All we know, this dude right here, reminded me of Mr. Brown from Medea, low key. But this dude right here, all we know, he could own his own business, maybe own his own construction business, engineering business. All we know, this could be him at the weekend. Maybe he's painting his house. Maybe he's painting the fence or something. Maybe he's doing some pottery. I don't know. Like, this man could be the most professional thing out there, but he just right now, maybe he's on a week or two vacation. He's out in the woods hiking, whatever, and he's just kind of letting it go. We don't know nothing. We know nothing about these dudes. We know nothing about their educational status. All we know right now is how they are appearing. People understand this concept when it comes to men. People understand when it comes to men, and they say, oh, this dude looked like he's an eternal bachelor, right? This dude look like these dudes over here. These are eternal bachelors. These dudes are not necessarily in the dating game, or they're not in a position right now where it seems like that is their ultimate goal. Everybody would understand that. Everybody would understand that. I know of multiple men who have talked to other men and been like, dude, if you want to get a good girl, or if you want to get, if you're like in that season where you're really trying to find a woman, put yourself together. This is a big premise, even of the manosphere. And I know, not everybody agrees, but this is a general school of thought you'll find even among male coaches who are, talking to other men, trying to encourage other men. They'll say, get yourself together, go to the gym, focus on you, focus on your destiny, focus on your job or whatever, present yourself well. And then when the time comes, when you're well established financially in your job, your career, whatever, then you can find whatever woman that you want, but then present well to do so. Kevin Samuels talking about that. This is just common sense. People generally know when you are actively wanting to engage in a relationship, you're not going to go out there actively trying to look like a bum. But men and women know that. So again, I say, hey, these men don't necessarily appear as if them being in a relationship, that's on their mind. Everybody understands that. That is not offensive. That is not confusing. Most women would look at these dudes if they approach them and laugh them out the door. I'm not saying all. Many of them would. So we understand this concept when it comes to men. But somehow, when it comes to women, we do not understand this concept. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, you're misogynoir. All of a sudden, you hate women, you hate black women, you hate your mom, whatever it may be. All of a sudden, when it comes to women, we don't know what you're talking about. This rule does not apply. But the thing about it is, whether or not you agree with this or you disagree, this rule still applies. This rule still applies. And so when I was saying earlier that I went to a graduation, and granted, like I said, this is just an observation. I was not making a declarative statement of how the overall human population works. I wasn't saying this is everybody, everybody. I was simply making a statement of what I noticed after having gone to these graduations. A tall, a tall, handsome, successful black man on the way to getting in a career, getting into a career that's going to be very well earning, taking all the right strides to do so, really, really, as far as career-wise, on the top of his game. And he's not in an opportunity where he's surrounded by a lot of black women. What is a person like that in a situation to do? So that was essentially the whole purpose of the conversation. But like I said, again, I make a declarative statement about what I see, a man who is surrounded by mostly white women, and then the black women that we do see don't necessarily tend to have the appearance as if they are in a relationship, and y'all get mad. So if you guys actually want examples, because some of you guys ask for examples, well, what do you mean? What do you mean they did not appear as if they wanted to be in a relationship? Let me pull this up and try to give you a sense. Let me pull this up and try to give you a sense of what I mean when I say women who did not appear as if they wanted to be in a relationship. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh no, that was the wrong thing. Okay, y'all give me a second. I thought I did this already, but I didn't. Anyways, guys, also if you're on here, get those likes up. Please get those likes up. Likes are free. Also show some love, y'all. Show some love. Support your favorite content creators. Find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. Also, hit the super chat. Show some love in the super chat, y'all. Wait, why does it keep on doing that? Okay, sorry, guys. So I'm going to try to pull up this example if it lets me. Technical issues here. Yeah, let me pull up this example of what I actually mean when I say women, from what I saw, not appearing as if they want to be in a relationship. And let me preface this by saying, also, just because you appear a particular way, or just because you're in a place where you don't want to be in a relationship or you're not, that is not a statement about your overall value. I'm not saying like, oh, because maybe these men look like they don't want to be in a relationship or a woman does. That doesn't mean I'm saying you're horrible people. You have no value. It's no. It's like that's just an honest assessment of what's going on. But that is not a assessment of your overall value. So like I said, people over here getting butthurt over just facts. So okay, let me bring up, here it is. Now I have it. Sorry, y'all. Where'd you go? Okay. I love when this happens. Okay. Okay, I think this should do it now as it's uploading. So what do I mean when I say, or when I said, the few black women that I saw did not seem as if they wanted to be in relationships? They didn't have that appearance. What did I mean when I actually said that? Okay. It's still processing, but okay. I see I don't have a beard. So, okay, what do I mean when I say women don't appear like they want to be in relationships? What do I mean? So, as I mentioned before, ladies, we understand this concept when it comes to men, but when it comes to women, sometimes we want to play dumb. But the reality is, at the end of the day, we all, as human beings, wherever we go off, we give off a vibe. We give off a vibe. Some of y'all like to call it energy. Some of y'all like to call it whatever. But either way, we give off a vibe. And as women in particular, especially if you're in the phase of your life where maybe you're single, you want to date, you want to marry, or whatever, what you do matters. What you do matters. How you present yourself matters. Even your attitude, your persona, it matters. It matters. For example, and I'm going to use myself. I will throw myself under the bus, right? I had loving friends tell me when I was younger, and having issues with relationships or having issues finding, you know, dating, whatever it may be, I had loving friends look me in my eye and say, "Sis, you look busted. You're like, what are you doing? You're going around here, sweats half the time. You got them ugly knockoff UGG boots on. You look mean in the face. You're not smiling, and then at the same time, you're over here complaining about not having a relationship. Like, what's going on?" And I'll preface this by saying, I remember back when I was in college, back when I was early in college, it was like, oh, let me focus on my studies, let me focus on this, and that, A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. Wasn't really putting, not even really putting a lot of emphasis on what I was wearing or my appearance, but being like purposely being standoffish. Not engaging with men that I necessarily were attracted to at the time, walking the other way, not putting myself in environments where I could be found, and then sitting around being mad that I couldn't find nobody. This is me. I'm talking about myself. This is me. I'm not trying to project. This is something that I myself did. So when I go and I say, "Hey, ladies, your appearance, how you present yourself, has everything to do with your ability to actually attract and find healthy relationships." This is not coming from a place of judgment. This is actually coming from personal experience. So, for example, if you are a woman and you walk around all the time and you are aloof, again, you don't smile, you don't seem welcoming, you have a hardness about you, you seem unapproachable, then you're probably not going to be approached. And also, again, when I was, the gentleman that I posted yesterday, I've had conversations with him and we've talked about the dating options out there. And he's told me openly, he's like, yeah, the few Black women I did try to talk to, or some of them I did try to engage with, they wouldn't be interested. He's like, yeah, there'd be a few times I go to a party and I see a Black woman, but they may give off vibes that just seem like they just were not interested. So he's like, if a person does not seem interested, if they don't seem like they want me to approach them, what is a man to do? What is a person to do? And many men have the sentiment. I mean, like I said, with the whole post Me Too and all the different things that men have to risk now when it comes to approaching women, it's not to say some won't do it, but if you are already giving off a vibe that says, I am not interested, you look closed off. You seem closed off. You're scared of men. You don't like men. You're nervous. You don't want to smile because you don't want to give up the wrong idea, whatever. At the end of the day, if you seem unapproachable, you will not be approached. You may seem like, oh, she's not interested. She didn't seem like she don't want a man. She looks like she don't want a man because she doesn't look interested. So again, when I say that, this is not an insult. This is not me being misogynistic, misogynoir, none of those things. This is real life, y'all. And you can sit here and be butthurt about it all you want. And at the same time, when we say it about dudes, when we talk to guys about it, when we use those examples for men and how they present themselves, not only just physically, but sometimes even their persona, the way how they present themselves can determine whether or not they get play. It's the same way with women. How we present ourselves can determine whether or not we're going to have interaction in the dating and mating market, period. And that's all I was trying to say. I'm trying to say, if you over here looking mean, you over here looking upset, you over here looking like, I don't want to be in a relationship, I'm focusing on my studies, I'm this and that. That's the energy you're giving off. Fine, but that's probably the results you're going to get. And if I call that out, or if somebody actually acknowledges that, that is not you being mean or rude. That is just common sense. That is just reality. And then, of course, there is the obvious appearance too. That's obvious. If we all know that men are visual, you can hoop, holler, and cry about it all you want. Okay, but if you know men are visual, and you actually do desire being in a relationship with a man, it's like, it just makes common sense. It just makes common sense to, at the very least, be aware of that. I'm not saying you got to go on the Lori Harvey diet. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying you got to go over here and try to get surgery. No, I'm just like, presenting yourself well, wherever you go, is something that you should do, especially if you want to be in a relationship. We all understand this when it comes to work. We all understand if you go to a job interview, especially if you want a job interview that you see as valuable, they're going to pay you well. The exchange for your work is worth it. You're not going to go there with your hair undone with a bonnet, with some PJs, okay, with a wife beater. You're not doing that. You're going to go into that job interview dressed up, maybe some heels, a nice dress, your hair done, edges laid. You're going to do whatever you got to do to present well in that job interview. So we understand that when it comes to looking for work. We even understand when it comes to men. When it comes to men, most women don't want men approaching them looking dusty, looking like they didn't comb their hair, comb their beard, haven't taken no shower, their clothes look disheveled, they got faded pants on, their feet look undone. Women, again, we understand this when it comes to men. But when it comes to ourselves and how we present ourselves, just based on common sense, it can seem so offensive. But whether or not we accept it or not, the reality is the way that we are even looking at guys and perceiving them and saying, oh, this person seems like he wants to be in a relationship or not, that metric is also being applied to us. Our first appearance, like I said, are you smiling, or are you just seeming open, or do you seem very closed off? Do you seem very standoffish? Do you seem very very uninterested? If that is the confidence that you have when you're in a room, when you're in a setting with other people, you may be treated as such. You may be treated as such. That is all I'm saying. In addition to that, if you're not presenting well physically, period, if you're not putting your best version of yourself out there, period, it could also, and it likely also will impact your ability to be successful in the dating and mating market. This is all I am saying. That was it. That was all I'm saying. If I say, okay, in this scenario, women who did not necessarily appear as if they wanted to be in relationships, there's different levels to this. Like I said, there's the physical, how you present yourself. And then sometimes even with that, there's the attitude, there is a countenance. Whether you seem open, whether you seem like you want to engage, whether you seem interested in engaging, or whether you seem standoffish, aloof, you're not interested, you'd rather focus on your work or not. There are two levels to this. That was it. And that was literally my point. So, but I wanted to address this because I think some of us don't even necessarily understand that, especially those of us who we really do want relationships or we really do want to have success. We don't understand how some of these basic things really can affect our progress or really can affect our ability to be successful when it comes to finding love. So I would say, especially ladies, and I say this for even a lot of my friends who are single or in a place where they wanted to find somebody. I'm like, I don't care if you're going to the grocery store, going to the farmer's market, going to the post office. I don't care. Like, if you're in that phase where you are open and ready for love, it's like it could come at any moment. So always present yourself as such. Always present yourself as just like, hey, I can meet the person there. I can meet the person at the grocery store. I can meet the person at the gas station. I can meet him, because it's just like you never know. You never know. And so I say that even for my friends who are single and I talk to them, just like, girl, no opportunity is too small of an opportunity. No opportunity. And again, I'm not saying you got to go everywhere in heels, but I'm just saying always present yourself. If you actually want to be in a relationship, always present yourself and position yourself to where if that opportunity comes along, you could grab it easily. There's not going to be all these barriers. It's just common sense to me. So that's that was it, y'all. Nothing too deep, nothing too earth shattering. And as I mentioned this before, we can understand these concepts when it comes to men, that men are judged by their appearance, and they are judged by how they present themselves. But when it comes to women, we sometimes will play dumb, or we don't understand it, or we've never heard it before. But this is it. Like I said, at the end of the day, how you present yourself, not only physically, but also how your energy will impact your ability to find relationships. And if you're in college, like I said, when I was in college mode, the reason I didn't get married in college is because I did not make it a priority, period. I did not make it a priority. I did not have the mindset that said, oh, I'm dating. I didn't make that a priority. I was very standoffish. I was very closed off, and I shut down situations. I can say this. So again, when I'm saying these kinds of things of like, hey, women, if you're giving off vibes that are the exact opposite of what you want, consider these two things. Consider how you're presenting yourself physically. If you are presenting yourself the best way you can you're in your own shape and your own form. And also be aware of how you were coming off when you're interacting with people. Common sense. Those two common sense things that I had loving friends tell me, I had loving people tell me, completely changed the game for me. Completely changed the game. And so that's it. That's all I wanted to add, guys. Nothing too deep, nothing too crazy. So again, guys, if you like this, hit the like button. As I said before, support your favorite content creators. See, none of them keep the men away from me. They're talking. Yeah, and like I said, if you don't want a man and you keep that mentality, then you don't have to worry about it. You probably won't have one. If you say, hey, men are toxic, and you carry that energy with you, no problem. You probably won't have one. And that's okay. Like I said, that's okay. So I'm, again, speaking more specifically to women who actually were curious about, like, what did I mean when I say she did not appear like she wanted a man? Like, what do you mean? Because this isn't necessarily something that you would hear all the time, without you being labeled misogynistic, misogynoir, pick me, all the different derogatory terms that they will fling towards women who are just trying to say things that are actually common sense and that, our elders knew or just kind of naturally practice. So I say adjust on most of the time. Yeah. And well, and another thing too, when I'm saying present, well, I'm not saying that men need to be going around in suits all the time and women need to be going around in like prom dresses. No, it's not even that. It's some of the stuff really is psychological. Like some of the stuff really is you knowing what makes you look good or knowing what makes you feel confident. It's even sometimes it's less about having that perfect, like I said, suit or that perfect dress. And it's really more about everything coming together. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, again, if you have the mindset of, okay, this thing is valuable, this thing that I want is valuable, you're going to present accordingly, period. Like I said, nobody's going to go to a job interview that they see is valuable in their PJs with a bonnet on. Or if they do, they're not getting the job. So that's all I'm saying. You see this thing as valuable, you see this, oh, I want the relationship, I want these things. Totally fine. There are simple, practical things that you can do to make that easier for you. And there are also practical things that you can do that make it tougher. You're presenting yourself in a way that says, I don't want a relationship, when in actuality you do, makes it harder for you to find success. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So nothing too deep, nothing too crazy. Like I said, thank y'all for hanging out here. Again, be sure to hit the like button before you leave. Also support your favorite content creators. Like I said, my goal is I want to be able to, start to do more, have a better presentation, all the kind of different stuff. But I do depend upon your guys' support. This is a group effort. So again, if you like what the show is about, show some love and support. Also, stay tuned for other content coming up in the next week. Hit the notification button if you haven't already. And yeah, guys, that's all I got for today. And we'll talk later. Bye.